This is number 90.
Oh my god.
Welcome to episode 90.
9-0.
10 away from fucking big 100.
No Ashley.
No, Ashley. He is not available today.
Bargain basement again.
So
Here I am.
We have our fucking Connie again. We got the Dungeon Master.
Mr. Stand-in.
The old fucking
DM.
DM. Oh my god.
You like that, didn't you?
Oh, it's going to be an hour contrived of just
DnD.
D and D. So if you're not a fan, to be fair, if you're not a fan of D&D, it probably means you've never played it before.
Yeah, tough tip.
So therefore,
we're talking about it.
This might be somewhat interesting to get you in the vibe of D&D.
In the fantasy mood.
Mm.
Got to drink that tea.
It's tasty. It's actually coffee.
Oh,
Coffee with no sugar. Oh,
changed man.
I am changed. What a fantastic time. Me, Connor, Ash
and Daryl.
Daryl played D&D last weekend.
Little virgins, D&D virgins, the three of them.
And we'd never done D&D before, but we've been talking for fucking
ages,
like a year.
Yeah, over a year.
Trying to set it up. And
I'm sorry it took so long.
We finally went for it, and fucking hell, what a fun experience that was. We got to yours for like 12ish and didn't leave until like 9 or something.
Yeah, I think everyone left about 9, and you and Ash turned up about like 20 past 12, and yeah, which is pretty standard. Like my mates, we turn up about after 2, and then the latest I've stayed there till is about 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
then still went home.
We got a good like fucking 6-7 hours worth of playtime.
Didn't get very far in the adventure, but that was I expected that, so I don't really know what difference to make of that.
Absolute fucking chaos.
Yeah, I didn't expect any different.
But it's so much fun. It's so much fun.
Welcome.
I thought that it was going to be like very nerdy, which I'm not opposed to.
Nerdy,
but the role playing aspect of it,
it's you get what you give.
Yeah.
At the end of it, that's the easiest way to explain what you're going to get out of D&D is that if you don't want to put a lot into it, you're not going to get a lot out of it. And I know people who are like that I'm friends with, that they were very much into the idea of it, but as soon as they started playing it, they weren't so much a fan, and especially when like they played it during COVID and hit online D&D, couldn't keep the attention on it because it's drastically different. But when you've surrounded like live D&D or in-person D&D is drastically different because the atmosphere is different. Like if you were playing that online, it's like imagine that's your first game.
How does that work when you're doing it online with the talking, the dialogues in between? Is that just like on Discord or something?
Yeah, it'd be like on Discord mostly. We're like, if we're running it, we'll have Discord open, we'll have mics on.
Yeah.
And then like whoever's running it, like the DM might either do, sometimes we do it with people there, or we'll do it as there's different things like Roll20 or a better one like Foundry, which is essentially like the maps I was making up on tabletop, you could make up digital, and instead of having physical minis, you could have little tokens that you've made up, and instead, you give player control to them, and you just load the maps those ways, and then you can use digital dice, or you can go by a rule of trust that you can let people just roll with the dice that they have, and then they just tell you what the result is, and you just go with it because that's pretty much what it is anyway. Like if you want to lie about your dice results, you can do that anyway.
Oh, you can just.
But at the end of the day,
takes the fun out of it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is cheating, but you're just taking the fun out of the game.
While we're talking about fucking dice rolls,
yours were terrible.
I've never had.
You started strong.
The worst luck ever. Literally the first dice roll was decent. Where I actually landed fucking attack. I still died, but landed or got absolutely fucked. And I did die. Didn't I? Or I got knocked unconscious.
You got knocked unconscious.
My only fucking decent attack was my very first one of slamming a goblin's head into a tree.
Yep.
And then after that, it was just abysmal. I'm a berserker with 2 fucking weapons, and I couldn't hit all. Nothing for the entire game until the very end.
Oh yeah, you got a crit at the end.
Got a crit at the very end.
Which you did kind of save the day at the end of that one, but...
Fuck me. It's ridiculous.
I will admit that the starter adventure that I'm playing for you guys, Lost Mine of Fandelver, that it does say in the book that it's set for like parties of 4 to 6. So truthfully, the fact that you started as having 2 people,
Yeah, but
and then
that has no bearing on the fucking dice rolls.
no, true,
To
but that's
the point
just,
where in between plays, we were checking my dice to make sure they weren't fucked or something.
it's just you.
Yeah, it's just me. You just fucking can't roll dice. It's like, this is fucking ridiculous. So I'm going to get some different dice.
Depends, because I know that some people just, everyone rolls differently, but I know some people will literally just, they'll grab a dice, they'll turn it over in their hand, and they'll just drop it, which in theory should give you different results. But I know sometimes people have done it in a way that it gets you the same result by the way you've just picked it up and dropped it. Which,
see, I was picking them up, shaking them in my hand. I was doing a bit of throwing, I was doing a bit of dropping, I was trying all sorts and just getting
just dice cup or something for you, so you can
like a the Yahtzee fucking cups.
So you can rattle it around a little bit before you get rid of it.
I might do, to be fair, just to fucking help me.
It's because you had that paperweight bloody Ragnarok dice.
Yeah, the old heavy dice.
Made out of.
Saying that, I want them metal ones that you had, them big fucking chunky ones.
They're on there. Trying to think where I got them from. I think they were an Etsy buy. Quite a lot. When I was first trying to get into D&D, I was like, when I went too heavy and hadn't even played a game, I was like, well, I've got all the dice now. But there's loads of... I tried to give you those other ones. I'm surprised you didn't take them.
I know, but I felt bad for taking them.
Oh, well, I wasn't going to use them.
Because you also didn't say, take these dice.
Oh, yeah, you're changing your mind now.
No, you didn't say, take these dice. So therefore, I can't just pocket them.
Oh, well, next time.
Because you're too nice as well. I could have fucking picked up the table and walked out with it, and you would have gone, all right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, all right, fine.
But it was good. It's yeah, like you say, you get out what you fucking put into it, and I just feel like it was.
I'm glad. I was nervous to have you guys playing it because being DM is nervous, can be nerve wracking anyway. Because obviously everything is on you. You have to you're hosting, you're running everything. All the monsters are on you. All the role play interactions are probably not realistically all of you, but every NPC is you. So ultimately, it's the good time when that Ash is calling you a smelly dwarf and going off on a tangent with that, because it takes the time off of me to prioritize other things or just sit back and have a little break for a minute.
Fucking hell, are we going off script? Jesus Christ! Bearing in mind that we started off here, because this whole build up to obviously having a session of D&D, I've constantly been saying to Ash, I'm going to kill you. Yeah, I'm going to I'm going to bury my axe in your fucking central nervous system. It's going to happen.
Well, yeah, that was some of the first questions you asked me whenever it was like one of the early episodes of the pod, when I came down here and just stood in and went, oh yeah, if you want to play D&D, let's make some like mock-up characters. And you went, yeah, but how do you actually play D&D with no exposure to it? You don't know how that plays.
I'm exposed now.
Whereas it's instead, can I do this? Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Can I do that? Yeah.
Can do whatever you want.
There is elements of like, I can't allow that.
But we went in with a truce, and me and Ash both said at the beginning, we will not attack each other.
He's not here to defend himself today. So.
He's not. Fuck him. We will leave. And so he shouldn't do, because we fucking He was adamant I was going to attack him, and I held out my pinky and I said, I pinky promise you, I'm not going to fucking hurt you. And he grabbed my pinky with his pinky and we made a pact. I said, all right, there we go. Decent.
It didn't last.
It didn't last. What was it? Fucking couple of hours? And the geezer fucking starts attacking me out of nowhere. For no reason whatsoever.
What sparked it. It was
robbed me. Fucking
to be fair,
beat
he did
me.
Rob you first,
yeah.
So that was
and started attacking me. And obviously, I've already decided that on our next playthrough, I'm not playing a melee character. I'm not doing it because I can't do anything. I can't do anything. Or if I'm going to play a melee character, I want to be fucking Daryl. I want to be a paladin, a tank. I want to be someone that is difficult to hit.
No, the thing is, you're starting as we are. Like this again, it's your first session. That D&D at first level, especially as a new player, is very difficult. It's very difficult being a low level player anyway, even for seasoned people, because you turn around and go, like, I've got 8 hit points, and truthfully, most monsters can kill you in 2 turns, or they can down you in 2 turns. And like, even truthfully, I should have gone a lot harsher on that goblin. This is 4 goblins, mind you, and they're very weak, but
Well, obviously not, because I slammed one of their fucking heads in a tree, and he still waddled off and took me down eventually.
You only had to do 2 more points of damage.
Yeah, well, I didn't have it, did I? I didn't have it in the bank, did I?
Yeah, so truthfully, it could have been a lot worse, but then at the same time, you'd feel a lot more powerful beyond, like, everything spikes beyond, like, things spike at level 3 because you get to pick your subclass. So you'd end up being, so you playing a barbarian, you could take Berserker, bear totem. So like Berserker gets you more rage, or higher levels of rage, and then the bear totem makes you immune to more and more damage, so you can become more tanky. But then there's probably, I think there's around 5 more now after all the books have been released, but each does different things. So there's like one that if you die, you can get rezzed without material. They can just use the spell to get you back, whereas usually it needs...
I forgot about the leveling system.
Things like diamonds and stuff like that. Well, we haven't even... I need to reprocess it, because the adventure doesn't necessarily factor in the fact of how we went off script. Because there was a bit that's been missed, and I need to go back and read through the magazine that it's all part of, to work out exactly where you stand and what you've done so far in terms of how you can be level, if it's time for you to truthfully level up. Because once you hit level 2 you'll feel more powerful.
I'll tell you,
3 you'll feel more powerful.
I'll tell you what we've done. We fucking escorted a cart of meats and other shit to a town, and that's it.
Pretty much.
That is all we've done.
Yeah, true.
Spoken to a couple of people, and then had a fight in the town with some bandits, which we won.
Yeah,
and that is it. That is literally the entire 7-hour fucking playthrough so far.
Yeah, I didn't expect much more than that, to be honest. I was both...
It's so comical.
I'm both relieved and not relieved at the same time, because I'm looking at it, because I went from page 1 to like page 7.
But I am an absolute animalistic fucking barbarian whose only purpose in life is to slay
things
and kill things. And number one, I can't. And number two, I ended up spending the majority of our playthrough washing in a horse trough because I had no money. People spitting on my own fucking friends,
your own party,
spitting on me. I've been robbed by my own friends. No one's helped me. Daryl had a fucking platter of food in front of me and didn't offer anything. I played my bagpipes. You know what I mean? Like as I feel like the barbarian class that I've gone with, I feel like barbarians are typically very numbskull, just fucking hit things, and if there's red stuff that comes out, that's good.
Yeah, pretty
much. But the dwarven side of that, dwarves are one of the smartest races.
There's a lot more
in existence. You know what I mean? They are very characterful. They know that they're greedy, but they know what they're doing. They're not stupid people. So when you combine that together, it just, I should be a smart barbarian, but to have to fucking wash in a horse trough.
Well, that was your own choice, but
I had nothing else to do. You know what I mean?
I said, "Is there anything that I can wash with?" And then rolled a 2 or something, and then went, I was like, "What do I do here?" And I think, well, the only thing you can see is a horse trough, and it was your decision to get in it.
It's so good. I tell
you
you,
didn't necessarily have to, but
my issue,
you ended up destroying the room with it because everyone loved it.
My issue with it is that I almost feel like I don't want it to become dry. Not that it was becoming dry, but there was some certain like interactions and stuff when it's like we need to spice something up. Like me running down the fucking through the forest just to see what happens. I feel like that's more of an issue on my part, in that
that's your ADHD kid.
Yeah, I'm not allowing the story to really, like, I was.
It depends if you want it to be, especially with like a written adventure. It depends if you want to stay on the rails or if you want to make it your own. And I feel like you probably wanted to make it your own, but then you have to balance it with the rest of the party. Like essentially,
splitting up didn't help.
Yeah, you should never. It's never advised to split the party, but it depends. It depends on the players and the player types, because you'll have some people will be risk avoidant. And they'll see the fact that I dangled a massive plot hook in front of you and went, "Who's going to take it?" And then essentially,
I grabbed onto that motherfucker.
Ash went down there and went, "Nah, I think I'll turn back now." After going up there for about 5 minutes, when you've been travelling for the last in game you've been traveling for the last like 3 days. So truthfully, nothing's close. But you know, it's
because we never explored it, did we?
No. Whereas you jumped on the opportunity and just went, you know, you were deliberating it, and everyone was going back and forth, and then the ADH monkey brain kicked in. You went,
run down it.
I'm going to run down it. And then, you know, that was,
and I died,
and that was it. You know, essentially,
they should have, because obviously
it's difficult to say because at the same time
you gave them the option to follow though, and they didn't fucking follow. They wanted to carry on to the path, and it's like,
I think there's an element of because everyone's made. You know, I had to make Daryl Harlow.
And he's ironically the strongest person that we have with us.
Yeah,
he's the most successful.
You know, he had no real connection to it, but it's difficult because, and I said this to a couple of people before we started, that I didn't want to do anything other than the Lost Mines of Phandelver because it's the best starter adventure, and also for the fact that if I'd spent time on it and developed like backstories and things for you to be engaged before you even started the adventure, and you turn around and go, well, this is a bit shit, to be honest. It would have been a bit deep for me to have spent too long on it. Like, I think that's what I failed on for running it as it was, that I hadn't read too far ahead. I know what happens, but I hadn't read enough between the lines to make things
I think
engaging consistently. But
I need to.
But if I'd had the time to dress it up to apply to you guys, you might have had a bit more cohesion because obviously Ash is playing an absolute cunt. To say the least.
Drow,
like he decided that he wanted to play a Drow spellcaster who doesn't want to be part of the party, thinks everyone's a cunt or thinks everyone's beneath them, so he's serving proper cunt energy. That it makes it slightly difficult. Not to say that Ash is doing bad with it, and you know it's a fun character, but
he's playing it well.
But at the same
time, it's difficult to play with a cunt.
That's what I mean. It makes it difficult for having a game that's based around party dynamics and the fact that you're not stronger on your own. As he was for you.
He was looking for health potions.
Yeah,
but wasn't afforded the opportunity to actually fulfill that.
Yeah,
because it all kicked off. I think for me, it's the role playing aspect of it where I really need to delve into it in not becoming the character, but the interactions that we have, and sort of rather than so like how we're interacting now, we're talking on a podcast. So in my head, I'm talking to you, but I'm also talking to the fucking mass amount of people
out there.
You know what I mean? But you could, but you're not actually talking to them. I'm talking to you, but at the same time, I'm talking as if there's an audience that I'm trying to entertain as well. So, and I feel like when it comes to playing D&D, I was almost doing the same type of thing in that I'm trying to play as Bruim, who's my character, and also trying to maintain me as Reese in the room. When what I'd needed to do on those interactions is drop Reese in the room and turn into Bruim.
Yeah.
And then interact in that sense, have that interaction as this, in the same aspect as if we were playing World of Warcraft together and we're chatting to each other. I'm not chatting to, you know what I mean? We're doing a dungeon together. I'm talking to you as the fucking character to get through the dungeon, which is how I feel like I need to be on that. That's why I asked how the interactions work in terms of, do we take turns on people doing things? And obviously that's when you said don't split the party up, because then you can hold those interactions. You haven't got to fucking you can just bounce back to each other. I think it would help for me to probably get into some like D&D podcasts and shit like that, like what Ash has done.
Yeah, I can easily recommend some either like more cartoony ones.
Well, who's the people that are at Comic-Con?
There was Crit Roll.
Yeah. So I've got loads of clips of them on TikTok that keep popping up, and they seem like really interesting to watch.
They're, if you want more of a like story opera style,
they're professional voice actors.
They're professional voice actors. The guy running it, Matt Mercer, has been doing it since he was a kid.
Yeah, he's cool, man,
and he knows everything like inside and out. He's very dynamic, very well, very creative. That if you want something that's a big, Lord of the Rings style, not cinematography, graphic, but like stylistic and very high fantasy, they're the kind of ones to pick. Whereas if you want something a little bit more light-hearted, you're probably looking at something more like Dimension 20, because Crit Role typically does an episode is like 4 hours, and you can either choose to watch it on YouTube for all the video of it, because there'll be battle maps that are actually not like crappy ones that I've been making that are just flat with little drawings on them, but there's big, this, what is it, Dwarven Forge, which is all like resin, polymer,
actual props and shit like
props and actual things in front of you, that it's all very stylized, but they still do it as a podcast. But you have to admit that it's going to be, an episode is 4 hours, and their first campaign had 126 or something episodes. Their campaign 2 had like 120.
Because I feel
they're
like
now on campaign 3, and they've got 90 odd episodes out.
I feel like my plan is to have it playing whilst I'm playing World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
So something that I can listen to and then tab into if there's bits that I want to fucking watch.
They've got good. Crit Roll's got a good, like, I think it's called Handbook a Helper or something like that, which basically runs through on how you can fundamentally play D&D, which is quite useful for people. Like, if I wasn't explaining things very well or in enough detail, there's things that come out that you haven't come across. But it's, again, it's one of those ones that roleplay's a funny one to get into, because especially role-playing in your character, because you think in your head, what would I do as the player can be drastically different to what I want to do as the person running the scene. So you've got, the character would do X, like Broom might, Broom's a barbarian warrior who wants to just like cut throats and bang heads, like would want to smash a goblin in the head. Would smash a goblin's head against a tree because that's the mood he's in. But you as me looking at that as a DM would go, truthfully, you're probably going to do less damage to smack his head into the tree, but it's style, so it's cool. It logically, to me, it's like you want to get that target off the board, but that's not how I want to play it. Like me as in my like the games that I as a player are in, me as the person running the character wouldn't want to do something, but I have like my main is an elf ranger rogue sort of combo who's very good in shadows and things like that, and I have to play him a certain way because of things I've written into backstory and things like that, where I'd be like, I'm not going to make this decision, but he would. And that's kind of the same thing for you guys starting out, is that you have to, like you said, you have to differentiate how you want to play the character and how you feel. You have
to give them an identity.
Yeah. And it's a difficult thing for new players, especially, your first session, and like with bringing Daryl in later and essentially giving him a character. There's no pre-existing personality to that character. And you, especially being first level characters and your first session, you have to on the fly quickly realise what this character is going to be. So like Ash has turned around and gone, he wants Solax to be a prick because he's a drow. He's going to be, curt and, brash with people. So when he's come into town, he's been like that. And I feel like Ash has got that grasp a little bit better on his character for what he wanted to be, because he does that in his games. Like he's got Rain Dolo, who he didn't want to bring in, but
his characters, he just makes them pricks. But he said that in the past before, that he
plays evil characters. He plays worse characters because he can't be,
because he can't do that in real life. It's a fantasy, which 100% I understand.
It makes sense, but
I've always found myself playing a character how I would want to play it in real life.
Yeah,
is how I've found.
There's no reason to say that isn't completely viable.
Yeah, so like I would probably base a lot of my interaction in a fantasy setting, no different to how I would base my interactions in the real world.
Yeah.
But obviously you add in the fact that I've got like a big battle axe and I can cut someone's head off without going to prison.
You're 4 foot tall, you can mutilate a man with a flick of your finger.
So those different things come into play, but predominantly I'd want to play a character the same way as how I am. But in the same token, it would be fun to get more comfortable with it and start exploring the role playing. I'm not sure about fucking voices. I'm not very good at fucking doing that kind of
to
shit.
do the Scottish accent for your room. Yeah,
But I think we could get there
difficult.
with it.
I understand the shoes that you're in. From I've been playing D&D for 4 years now, and I still don't. I feel sometimes still feel awkward doing voices for things, and didn't really do any particular when we were playing, because it's getting that sort of.
You want to get comfortable with
it's
it.
getting comfortable with who you're playing with and whatever, and even in my main lot, a lot of us don't really use too many voices for stuff. Like our DM uses voices for things, but you kind of have to, and that's what I'll lean more into. But it's if you're comfortable at the end of the day. There's no point making yourself uncomfortable because you have to do a silly voice or whatever. It adds more.
I think we'll be all right with it.
More layers to it.
Obviously, Ash was throwing a voice for the majority of his playthrough.
Bastard man voice.
Yeah, just posh fucking rich prick voice.
Yeah, it's not. There's not a lot in it.
I will kill him. Ash, chances are he's not gonna fucking listen to this. But if you do listen, I'm gonna kill you. The truce has been broken by yourself. I've already told everyone else what I'm going to do, and at some point, that axe is going in the back of your skull, and I'm not going to bother picking you up. I'm really going to throw it off the rails.
That's all right, because he's
got no mulligan.
Yeah.
He's dead.
Yeah, no, I let everyone have a mulligan in a sense that if things went horribly wrong, I wouldn't just kill off their character and then say roll a new one, because it's a little bit deep on your first ever playthrough to go, yeah, you're dead, I'm afraid.
Is that what you do? So if I die and I'm not picked up, no one comes to save me, or they're not able to, we have to roll as another character, and you have to introduce another character into the fray.
If you turn around and said, okay, I'm done with brewing because for whatever reason, A or B, you say, oh, to be honest, I felt like he was just an introduction character for me. I feel like I want to try something else. You could turn around and say to me, I think we've discussed this before, but you could turn around and say to me, I don't want to play Broom anymore. Either kill him off or write him out. But if you were just to die, say, I don't know, the rest of the party was there whilst you had the little owlbear
on the face, yeah.
That was great, seeing as I rolled that randomly and went, oh, yeah, there's an owlbear now.
Tasty one, isn't it?
That, if you just said to me, I don't want to come back, and they can either spend the resources on it to bring you back, or if it's Solax, probably just say, I'm not going to pick him up anyway.
Yeah, I'm not going to bother.
Because he's a dirty, smelly dwarf. But yeah, if you didn't want to come back and you just say, I want to roll as someone else, it would just be same process as before. We'll make a new character, and then at the next convenience, we'll appropriate moment, we'll bring you in.
So you're, character's a barbarian. Are you able to change that at any point throughout the gameplay? If you had a deep enough story going on, are you able to say as a barbarian, almost transition towards something like a rogue or a paladin type? Or is it too much effort?
It depends. So there's the option of you can multi-class if you want, if you have the correct stats. So obviously, it's unlikely that you're going to get, I don't know, a wizard who's then going to go, I'm going to be a rogue. Because your stat, like the way D&D works, is your stats don't line up. You had the 6 stats, so you had strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, charisma. So you're not a wizard who's got high intelligence but no dex isn't going to turn around and go, I'm going to be a rogue now. It might more likely be like my example for my character, or one of my characters, is that I'm a ranger, but I've dipped into rogue because both are dex stats to use. So it would be appropriate. Whereas you could, as a barbarian, you could straight away go into fighter, or you could even possibly go into paladin, or any of those to get different perks from different ones. But obviously there's a skew of the deeper you go into one, you can't get like the capstone of a lot of the classes, which like the barbarian capstone gets you like 24 strength and constitution, so your health goes up massive, and you can just smack people about. But there is good reason to do it for certain situations. But at the same time, with what you're asking, that if it's one of those ones that is up to the DM. So if you turn around and said we play the current adventure which should take all of us up to it will take us up to level 5 if we use the same characters. If you got to the end of that and said, I don't want to play Druim as a barbarian, I want
Druim. Brew. B.
No, was it B? I thought it was D.
Brewim. Drew.
Was it Broom?
Was it Drew? Why not?
No, I think it was Broom. No, it was.
Was it B? Brewim.
I'd have to look.
Drewim? No, was it? I think it was Drewim.
It was Druim, I think.
Oh my god, have I named it wrong on WoW?
Possibly. Hold on, let me.
I haven't I? I've gone fucking B.
Where is the app? Here it is.
It's Drewim, isn't it?
I'm very certain it was Druim, yeah.
Oh my
Not Bruim.
god.
You rookie.
I've named my character on WoW wrong.
Doesn't even know his own characters.
That is awful. Oh no.
Where is it? Babby's first D&D. You have called yourself.
It is D in it. It's Druim.
Here we go. Druim.
Druim. I wonder why Bluim was fucking rolling off the tongue wrong. Druim.
Bruim.
Oh shit.
No, you had Druim.
Oh, so now I've got the one of right. Do I delete that character for the sake of fucking?
Or spend loads of money to rename it.
Well, it's only level 10, so it only takes about fucking
that's not long in WoW terms.
half an hour to fucking jump it back up.
No, essentially, if you turn around and said, "I don't want to play Druim anymore," as he stands, you could turn around and say to me, "I don't want to play him anymore as a barbarian. We can play as a fighter," and I'd be like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." Because we're quite light into it, and I'm quite lax on.
So what's a fighter? What's the difference between fighter and barbarian?
So long-term fighters get up to 4 attacks with the ability to action surge as a bonus action, which then lets you do essentially a whole action again, which you can then have 8 attacks at the highest level. Well, essentially the highest level. Plus, sometimes you can get extra attacks on top of that.
Can I swap to that?
If you want, it's fine. It's more than fine.
What do they use?
Anything. Fighters are technically the most generic, but also the most open to flavour. So you can go sword and board. You essentially have the same. You can't rage is the only difference.
Well, rage didn't really fucking serve me any purpose, did it? Just for the amount of times I got battered.
But that's the point of the barbarian, though, is that you're meant to take damage. Because you've got that resistance, you will constantly take half damage from most things. Except for if you get higher levels, it becomes less present. But by that point, you should have massive amounts of health.
Yeah, so it's not a massive issue.
It's by that point, late game level 20 barbarians are looking at typically over 200 HP. Easily towards you. If you build them right, you can probably get 300 plus HP. Which is significant. And then if you throw rage on top of that, you've basically got anywhere between 400 and 600 HP.
Yeah, it's true.
So, and if you pick
I'll stick with barbarian.
If you pick the bear totem barbarian, you have immunity or resistance to every form of damage apart from force, which doesn't come up. It does come up, but isn't as frequent as all the rest. So you're taking half damage from everything while you're raging.
That's going to be me. I'm at the moment, my current play style for pretty much everything is just wanting to be a tank. I'm tired of being a meta slave to damage and wanting to have the most output.
Barbarian is a good class.
Yeah, the idea of just being able to just take massive hits from loads of things while everyone else puts in all the fucking legwork.
Thing is, you will still get hit because your armor class is still going to be fairly low.
Yeah, I find that odd that it's a barbarian, but it doesn't wear fucking mail or plate. Yeah, it's just leather or cloth. That's so fucking odd.
You don't get the choice to really wear much, if any, armor as a barbarian, which essentially is the flip of a fighter, is that you can wear any and all armor types up to, obviously you'll miss out on the dexterity, which you get from, because the way that the barbarians work is that they don't use... without the armor, they multiply their scores slightly differently, so you get a base score of 10. But then you add your constitution and your dexterity. So if you've got, say, a +5 in each, you'll have an armor class of 20.
Yeah.
Whereas
could you imagine?
Yeah.
You just never get hit, basically.
Oh, you still get hit, but yeah,
it would be fucking tough, wouldn't it?
It'd be a lot less. And
mind you, the
smaller enemies would struggle a lot more. In one of the games that I play in, I have a cleric that has an AC of 23. So physical attacks don't really do a lot to me all that often, but it's everything else, because then you start throwing, when you get to higher levels, things that actually actively target your armor class become less and less frequent, because they'll start throwing out big spells. Because all of a sudden I might go, well, I haven't been hitting you with that, so I'm going to throw a fireball at you.
Yeah.
And then you go, well, make a dex save instead.
Mm.
You go, well, you're all in the AoE, so here's 66 damage plus whatever else.
It's going to be a fucking
like
you've
only scratched the surface.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're getting hit for like fucking sixes and shit like that.
Yeah, you
start throwing in
66. You've literally fought 4 goblins and 4 humans.
Yeah. And we won, motherfucker. Won it all. Killed them all, took them all out. It's absolutely fine.
Case of the first bit.
It's absolutely fine.
Ash said, he's going soft on us.
Yeah.
Benevolent.
Yeah, but you have to, though, don't you? Because
the story could...
you can't just go right in the deep end, because then we'd all just get pissed off because we've all fucking died straight away, and we're just going, what's the point?
I'll admit that the book does say that if you do knock people out, like if you do kill everyone in that first bit, you just knock them out.
Yeah.
Which was what I was leading to, where you were knocked out, and if I'd knocked Solax out as well, it just would have been, we'll roll with it from there. Which
you wake up and fucking being bummed by goblins.
You have nothing left. Both of you have got no gold, not just you.
Yeah, fucking thief. It's very fun. I want to get a mini of fucking Druim. I can't believe I fucking named it wrong. I've made that character 3 times, and every single time, I think the first one I sent Ash a picture of
you sent me a photo as well.
Did I send you a photo? Maybe I put it in the fucking.
I don't. Is it in the group? I think.
Did I put it in the Weatherspoons thing?
Let's have a look.
So Mark Manister with the fucking Madry.
Yeah, it's Brewhim.
What kind of table's that? Of fucking.
What's he got?
It was Brewhim, or was it Brewhim?
It's Brewhim on WoW.
Fucking hell.
He's already downed 1 Madry.
Of course he has. I don't. Maybe I'll keep it then. It's fucking.
It's not quite. It's his brother.
It's his brother. Because at the end of the day, what I've made. So for the people listening, Druim is a hill dwarf that has a big ginger mohawk. Big fucking bushy beard, talking huge, and then like glowing orange eyes. Very dirty and fucking hill dwarf. He's a dwarf. He's fucking covered in soot and shit like that. And he, what was he? 4.5 foot.
Something like that. Yeah.
4.5 foot and weighs 256 pounds.
He's a
big boy.
He's a heavy boy.
He's a big heavy boy, right? Whereas
can't hit nothing.
Can't hit fuck all, and can't take fuck all, but.
He's early doors.
Brewhim is a on WoW, because what I made was a dark iron dwarf on WoW, which they do have that. They have fiery hair and glowing fucking eyes and shit like their beards. Like you can change the colour of them, but predominantly you have it set to like a ginger beard, but the ends are all on fire and shit. So that it fitted that narrative quite well, and they're black, like they're dark dwarves, whereas the one that I've made now, which is actually Brewhim, is a standard dwarf, and they're very like you can get them pale or you can get them tan, but they also their features are slightly different, but they have a proper mohawk. The Dark Iron didn't have a proper mohawk. This one has a proper mohawk. And you can put like body paint on and shit like that. So yeah, it can be the cousin because it's slightly different. Plus, this is a tank and not a fucking. If it was in WoW terms, if this was a barbarian, it'd be a fury warrior, which they specialize in using two-handed weapons and just fucking slashing and dashing with rage and shit like that.
Look, WoW's not DnD, all right. So
it's a mixture. They all fucking influence each other.
Pretty much.
I'm surprised. I was literally about to say I'm surprised there's not a game that's centered around D&D.
What, the one we played at the weekend?
Fantastic. Action D&D.
Dear.
We have to fucking
need another day.
To
get back in. I need to go back through that magazine a little bit more.
I don't think I could do the role of being a DM. I feel like there's far too much involvement.
It's not,
because I think you'd really notice if you had a shit DM. Because
you're saying I wasn't.
No, I don't think so. Obviously, I got nothing to go on. So you might have been the worst DM that's ever fucking been produced, but I've got nothing to base it off of. So it's
don't compare me to Matt Mercer because that'd be. I might as well just lay down and die now.
It's very what it felt like for me as a brand new person was it was very easy to understand, and it was very fluid. So there was no point where I didn't feel that comfortable in playing it, because it feels like to me that the DM does most of the legwork.
Oh yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I'm just trying to figure out what you've given me the parameters of where we are. I'll figure out what I want to do in this, but you tell me what to fucking do with certain interactions.
Yeah.
If I want to go in a bar and fucking smack the barmaid about, well, you've got to fucking tell me to roll whatever, and I've got to hit a certain target, and
essentially,
it's a symbiotic. We're a Portuguese man of war, basically, symbiotic relationship. But you're the captain of the ship. I'm just the fucking mere mortal.
I'm not. Yeah, you're the shepherd to everyone's enjoyment in some respects, but at the same time, you're not. It's not everything isn't on you, because it goes back to the give and take. There's no point you sitting there and doing everything, because at the end of the day, I'll be then playing with myself.
Yeah.
So it was an awkward one, for a little bit awkward to start for me, because it was the concern that you guys were going to go, this is a bit crap. Like I'm not going to commit so much to this, but then it was refreshing that everyone did sort of stick in and not get on with it, because that's not really the right thing. But
no, but we delved into it.
That you delved into it and were open to the exchange of it. That I can almost, now that seeing the first episode this first session that we've done now, is that I can kind of base where we go going forward, and I can put a little bit more almost effort into it, or a little bit more, not effort, but can give it a little bit more zeal than just, this is a weird fucking dice game with fantasy elements.
Yeah, I would really like to set something else up and continue that campaign, because it's a very refreshing pace of playing a game, because it's not a board game, but it's not a fucking video game at the same time. You're in a weird in between where you're having to use your imagination. What it makes me want to do is fucking play Baldur's Gate, because it's like, well, if I can get to grips with this, then it's the same fucking principle.
Baldur's Gate does help, because it will start to explain things a little bit in a more engaging way than me just reading. Like when I said, these are the things you can do, and I'm just reading essentially out from a book, and you going, well, what does that mean?
My one is I'm naturally, I like open world games, but at the same time I like a linear play style. I don't want to have to think too much, because it doesn't. I got this thing where I know I'm not stupid, however I think I am stupid. You know what I mean? So it's almost like I want someone to hold my hand, but I also know I'm very capable of someone not fucking holding my hand.
I need a guide.
In that same as I'm so drawn to being a tank in WoW and playing that class. However, I've never done it properly, because I'm too scared of being in charge of something like a raid. Yeah. Even though I know I'm more than capable of doing it, I'm just scared to do it. And I feel like that's almost the same when it comes to playing video games, in that, like obviously I'm fine with fucking open world games. It's not like I see an open world go, I can't do it.
There's a lot to be overwhelmed
with
in open world.
With something like Baldur's Gate, I'm being told as the player, you can do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. And as I said in the past, there's too much creativity for me.
Yeah.
Same with like building games and stuff like that. Survivals, when you're building shit. You're telling me in Shrouded building mechanics as intuitive as that. And it's like,
I don't want to touch that.
I can't do that, because you're giving me too much freedom. This isn't linear enough. I need you to tell me what to do so I can figure this out. And I think that playing something like D&D, it will get me out of that, because it's very enjoyable, and at the same time it's like you're being you're being given that freedom, but there's a physical aspect there that's keeping you in some form of check, i.e., you as the DM.
You've got there's consequences for things that you want to do.
You can do whatever you want, mate. But if you do this wrong, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
And then send you straight back to where you started, and we go again. And that's that.
You can explain your.
That's that interaction.
Running off on the trail and shouting, going, yeah, how far can I travel? As far as you want. Well, all right, I'm going to scream in the wilderness. Yeah. Okay, it's the middle of the night, by the way. So
yeah, I'm going to keep going. Whereas, like something on Baldur's Gate, although yes, you do have that, and you've got the narrator and all of that shit. It's not as hold your handy. It's just a nice introductory experience into it. I feel like if we continue to play D&D, then I will get more affluent in it, and I can see me delving back into Baldur's Gate with a different outlook, because obviously when I first played it, I'd never touched anything like it in my life. So you're coming from games that don't hold your hand, but at the same time don't leave it as much up to the fucking player.
I feel like in some respects, there is an overestimation of. I can't even say the word. Overestimation of. It's like your bloody. What was it you couldn't pronounce? I can't remember. But yeah, overestimation of, like, Baldur's Gate is a big game and it has a lot of choices. But truthfully, if you can play like board game D&D, not board game, but you can play actual D&D, you'll realise there's a lot more freedom in that than there is in Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate is scripted. There are, dozens and dozens of options, but ultimately it's a video game. As far as a video game can create,
there's a limit.
Free choice.
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah, people will come up with weird and wonderful and zany and chaotic things in a game, but truthfully, if you play D&D, the only limit is what you come up with. So truthfully, Baldur's Gate is a good game, and there is loads and loads of choices. And the worst part about it is unfortunately the fact that it is a game, because you'll feel like, am I doing this wrong?
Yeah.
Because it's a video game, and you've got to get from A to B. This is the start, this is the finish.
Yeah, there's an end goal there.
Everything in between, like, you can fuck up massively, but then you realise that that's a game.
Like Ash.
And you've...
Kill off all the fucking people.
It was running in my head, but I didn't want to say it.
Kill off all the fucking narrative in the game.
That essentially, if you do something wrong in a video game, unless you reload a save, you've unfortunately might have fucked your game up. Whereas in D&D, actual tabletop, there is the potential for either the outcome you want, the outcome you don't want, or something completely different in between that we as a group are collectively, we're doing as a collective storytale experience. So, Baldur's Gate is definitely worth a shot for you, even though you weren't originally interested in it, and it will give you a better understanding and grasp of the topic and the way that D&D works, because it will,
especially
hold
after
your hand loosely in respect of that.
After seeing everyone play it on controller as well, I feel like I just fucking plug a controller into the laptop and crack on, because that click to move bollocks, I fucking hated it. And even the movement of the camera, using WASD to fucking move the camera around.
Yeah, I feel like I'm just used to that.
It was so counterintuitive for me. I was like, this is horrible. I hate this.
Yeah.
I absolutely hate this. But then seeing Steph and fucking Ash play it with controller, and it's like, the movement's just like a fucking...
You got the Steam Deck?
I do have the Steam Deck. It's
no excuses.
No, I suppose I technically could.
You may as well try it. Have another go at it. And if truthfully you don't vibe with it, then you're still going to play. You're still going to have, we're still going to carry on with the adventure that we've got so far, as long as people actually want to carry on playing it.
Yeah, I suppose you've got the added benefit. There's only fucking 3 of us that are actually playing, and you. So it's a much smaller group.
It's not as hard to organise as much as you need to sort Ash out.
Yeah.
Why are you not here, Ash?
It's the advancement that we need to fucking...
But yeah, it's not difficult. Like, if everyone is happy for it, which was, everyone seemed happy on...
Just for the kebab alone. Woo! Kebab and the chips, mum.
Kebab and chippy.
Fucking hell. Oh, tasty little
Yeah,
treats.
it seems like everyone wants to carry on, so we'll keep carrying on. And then if people don't, if it gets to a point where everyone's bored or whatever, it's not that big a deal, especially with pre-written adventures. And truthfully, you know, there's only so much to go off before either you want to play something else, or you know, everyone gets better at it, gets more comfortable at it, and then you move on to bigger and better adventures.
I can't see people getting bored, man. I feel like Ash is the type where he's going to want to finish that story. I'm going to want to finish that story, and I think Daryl's going to want to finish it,
like he did his Baldur's Gate.
It's always that there's so much to explore, like character wise, and you always get the types of people like myself where it's like, I want big swords. I want big swords and to hit people.
I like my armor. I like my weapons.
I like my big heavy armor, and I just want to hit people with weapons, and that's it. I can't deviate from like Asmongold. Just always playing a warrior. I just can't. A warrior or a paladin. I can't deviate from either. Like I have to be in that melee fucking. I don't know why. I really don't know why. I feel like it's in a world of fantasy where everyone's got like crazy spells and you can summon the dead and you can turn people into sheep and you can do all these different fucking things. And I'm like, nah, swords. Swords and big maces.
I'm good with swords.
I want to hit people with weapons and that's it.
Yeah.
I don't need magic. I want to kill people with weapons.
There's a simplicity in, you know, essentially, I suppose there's a balance of if you, with like fighters and barbarians and paladins and things like that, all the melee classes, is that because your class is quite limited and quite vanilla, is that you need to actually bump yourself up in other aspects. Like you need to be more unique as a character rather than the class.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean.
Because you can turn around and go, well, that character is defined by their class, which they should be, because if you turn around and say, you know, you're a sorcerer or a wizard or something, that, you know, you're a magic user, that is intrinsically a part of you. But at the end of the day, if you turn around and go, well, the magic's my whole character, then you haven't necessarily made a good character.
Yeah. If you're solely reliant on the fact that you can fucking send missiles through your hands.
Yeah. Whereas, you know, there's a lot to be said about, and it's a bit of a meme. They go, oh, human fighter. Yeah. Why would everyone want to be a human fighter? It's like, well, there's a lot you can do with that. Truthfully, at the end of the day,
you've got a very blank slate.
Yeah.
With something like that, I know exactly what you mean. If you have a drow caster, someone like Ash, where he knows that the majority of that character base are dickheads.
Yeah.
And casters are casters. They're very intelligent people, and the study of tomes and arcane energy and things like that. They all follow that kind of suit. Whereas, that bog standard default human.
I'm Joe Blogs with my.
Yeah, human fighter, warrior, fucking whatever. That is completely blank. I can wear whatever I want. I can fucking use whatever weapon I want. Other than using magic itself, I can more or less fucking delve into whatever it is that I want to delve into. I think that's where. It's a weird fantasy of you give most people a game where they can create anything they want. A lot of people will just create themselves.
Yeah.
They just go, I want to make me, because they want to see themselves in that fantasy.
Want to experience it as you, or near enough, as close to you as you can get, that you can put in that world.
Yeah.
It's completely normal, I'd say, and you know, an expectation. And you can, you know, the more you get used to D&D, the more you can step away from that as well. You know, you can be happy to do, you know, all different types of characters that, you know, you wouldn't have necessarily even thought of. Like my first one was, or the one is still my main, is an elf ranger, which is very, you know, that's very mainstream. But then as that example of the main group that I play with, we've got 3 or 4 different campaigns as to like who can join and who can't, and you know, we've wanted to do this adventure and this and that. Essentially, the first campaign we played, we're all very normal races.
Yeah.
So like, there's dwarves, there's a couple of humans. Like the most odd one is the devilkin, the tiefling.
What's the big fucking ogre thing?
Big ogre thing.
I feel like a weird. When we was in game today,
yeah,
and we were looking at the minis,
yeah,
and there was one in the middle, and it was like a grey fucking horrible ogre thingy. Look kind of like, you know in Lord of the Rings when they're in the mines of Moria, and they get trapped, and that troll.
They have a cave.
They have a cave troll. It looked like that. It looked something similar to that.
It could possibly have just been like an ogre, or it's more likely, but I can't remember it. I know there was one that was a giant. I
need to flick through the characters again because
there's a lot on there.
Yeah, I want to continue to do him, and then I want to progress that story. But I also want to have another one
lined up so you can.
Yeah.
If you die again because you've lost your mulligan.
Can you do that? Can you set up another one for if you die? You can literally just go, I'll pull this one out the frame.
I think you as a free member on D&D Beyond, which is one of the best, very monetized, unfortunately, and Hasbro picked it up, or Wizards of the Coast picked it up, so Hasbro now have it, so it's very, a bit difficult. But I think you as a free member can have up to 6 characters.
Oh, okay.
Thereabouts. So
I might do that later then.
I think you've still got Gul'dan.
What's my fucking...
Your warlock.
But was it my login?
I think it's...
How did you have access to all my shit?
Because you've joined my campaigns, I can see...
Oh, you can just see all of my...
Yeah, you've got to... Essentially, the problem is that... Oh, it's not really a problem, but D&D Beyond, essentially, where I say it's very monetized, is that every new member has access to the option to buy all of the content.
Yeah, I literally just come out and said, like, question.
So...
What did I sign in with?
What's the buttons email?
Is that what I signed in with?
Yeah, as far as I'm aware. But essentially, because there's, everyone who logs in has access to buy from the marketplace. But what I've done instead, and it's like a thing for our group, is that I made the account originally, or I made an account, and I essentially bought everything in the marketplace. So I have nigh on every source book, every adventure, and whatever. But because I can then host campaigns,
I don't know what password we set it with.
I don't know.
You carry on. I'm listening.
But essentially, because there's, what was I saying? You can set up X amount of campaigns, and then you can invite people to them.
Yeah.
And because of that, you've been invited, and there's an aspect in that where I can share all the content from every book that I have access to. So you, in theory, you can read the adventure that I'm running.
I'm not going to.
But, that's your choice as a person, whether you want to do that or not. But from that, it also gives you access to all the races, all the classes, all the items, all the content that comes in those books then goes into the database that you then access. So when you build characters, if you're a new member and aren't linked to any of my campaigns, you won't be able to see anything apart from the very basic stuff.
I don't think I do have a D&D Beyond account.
Well, you do, because...
Well, what's it under?
Because you used it. It's your stinky log. I don't know what that means, but...
That's my Steam account, no?
The stinky log. Whatever that equates to.
What, capital T, capital S...
Capital L.
Capital L. So that is my fucking Steam login.
The stinky log.
So Ash will have his own then, won't he?
Ash has since had his login. And his went a little bit weird because when he used his, I don't know if he logged in with his email or if he logged in with Gmail, and it went a little bit weird. But essentially, if you want to, what you can do is that if you want to set up a new account, I can unassign.
Yeah, there's no account registered with my fucking Steam account, apparently. I can't figure it out. We'll have to figure it out later.
Well, yeah. Off air.
I just wanted to fucking...
technical difficulties.
Have a look and make a character. Well, we're at the end here now. Fuck these off, and then we'll figure this one out, and we'll do the Patreon.
We'll figure it out on the Patreon.
Patreon.com/watchthebuttons.
Give us your money.
All right, we'll speak to you later. Hooroo.
Hooroo.